And I remember standing there the next day.
And January 6th, 2021.
Well, the remarks from the Biden administration were less than subtle when they tried to turn 9/11 political. Also, another violent insurrection happened yesterday at the Capitol. Did you hear about it? And lastly, Gavin Newsom says that he's going to do something racist if he, in fact, has to appoint a new senator like replacing Dianne Feinstein. All that and more coming up on this episode of Daily Caller Live. Thanks so much for tuning in. Daily Caller Live starts right now.
Here we go!
That might be the only brown guy on earth named Jobob.
That is actually their name, Jobob.
Live from the dingy bunker, completely cut off from the outside world, except for you fine folks. My name is Jobob. This is Daily Caller Live. Thanks so much for tuning in. Today it is Tuesday, September 12th, year of our Lord 2023. I'm laughing because I don't know what this comment is directed at, but not even 30 seconds into the show, we get the comment, "Die already." I don't know if that's directed to me or Dianne Feinstein or whoever or whatever, but I just thought that was hilarious. We're also, didn't mention this, going to talk about the crazy lady in New Mexico that's trying to override the Constitution. But before we get into any of that, I want to talk about yesterday and how the administration handled the 9/11 anniversary. Now, here's something I'll say, that, and maybe some of you might not like this, but there was a lot of hubbub made yesterday about Joe Biden not being in New York. He was in Vietnam and then went to Alaska, I believe, was not there for the actual ceremony at Ground Zero. I don't care about that. I think a lot of people, especially on the conservative side of the aisle, were like, how could he? We're 22 years later. The U.S. president can't go there every year forever, probably. I don't know when it was when the U.S. president stopped going to Pearl Harbor or any of the other terrible attacks on the country. Again, that doesn't diminish the lives lost and the heroism on that day. But at the same time, I felt like that wasn't a great attack on Joe Biden from a bunch of people. Having said that, he decided to dig himself in his own hole, as he so often does, yesterday when he was in Anchorage. Now, one thing that I would like to, if I could tell the president one thing, it would be, dude, we have records of stuff. This isn't the 70s when he first got into the Senate, where you could just say something and it would go on the news and nobody had any ability to go check what you just said. Nobody had the internet. Nobody had YouTube. Nobody had any of these fantastic technologies we had to go and double check what you just said. But now we exist in a world where all of that is possible. However, Joe Biden still exists in the world where you can just say stuff on TV and nobody's going to fact check it. Yesterday, during his remarks around 9/11, he said the following, and like I said, we have records of these things. Wow, we're records of these things? Typo, dumb. Anyways, my bad. Check this out, and we will discuss on the other side. Watch this.
To renew our sacred vow, never forget, never forget. We never forget. Each of us, each of those precious lives stolen too soon when evil attacked. Ground Zero in New York, and I remember standing there the next day and looking at the building. I felt like I was looking through the gates of hell. It looked so devastating because from where you could stand.
The records that a bunch of other people dug up, not me, because I'm lazy, were that Joe Biden wasn't there the next day. There's no record of him being there the next day. Now, I don't know what you chalk this up to, but it seems like the classic Joe Biden telling a fantastic tale that didn't happen to people who he wants to please, when in actuality, again, he wasn't there. And just like he didn't travel on the Amtrak train with Angelo Negri Or what are the other stories that he tells so often? The dog-faced lion pony soldier thing. He does this a lot, and at this point, yeah, you can get mad about it, but it's probably just sad. But speaking of things that are sad, I wanted to play this clip from over the weekend. Joe Biden was at the G20 summit and actually went to one of those big state dinner things. Usually he skips out on those and goes to bed, but he actually went to one and decided to grab the mic. Now, he did make a comment of, "I'm going to go to bed," which is a weird joke to make if the biggest knock on you is that you're old and go to bed early, but we won't play that. What I wanted to play was this clip specifically, where it seems pretty evident and abundantly clear that a staffer has control of the President of the United States. He's talking, and I'm going to let you watch the video and decide for yourself, but just to set you up with some context here, he's talking about who knows what. And then in the middle of the speech, somebody says, "That's all, we're done." And then music starts to play. And you'll notice, if you're watching this video live, and not just listening to the podcast, if you're watching live, you'll notice that he doesn't quite get that his speech is now over, which is bizarre. He kind of just keeps talking into the microphone. Again, I'm going to let you watch it. I just want to set you up. And then the music keeps playing, and then finally he goes, "Oh, shoot, I'm done, I guess." So watch this clip, and we will discuss on the other side. But this is a weird thing going on at the White House with the president. Check it out.
The Southern Hemisphere had access to change it, had access. It wasn't confrontational at all. You came up with
Thank you, everybody. This ends the press conference. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Like what was that? What happened there? I want to play that last part really quick again. Somebody in the middle of some story that he was telling said, "Thank you, everybody, we're done," and then starts playing music, and he doesn't, it's not up to him. He's not deciding, "Oh, I'm done now." So
It wasn't confrontational at all. You came up with
Thank you, everybody. This ends the press conference. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Holy cow.
Thank you.
What's up? That's nothing. Who's in charge of the jazz piano? What was that? So that happened so quickly, it had to be planned. So somebody was like, "All right, if he goes on too long, I'm going to cut him off. Even though he's the leader of the free world, I, as a White House staffer, am going to cut him off and then immediately cue the jazz piano." Like that stuff all had to be set up beforehand. What's going on there? Anyways, moving on with some of the craziness out of the administration, we need to get to this. Kamala Harris. According to Kamala Harris, well, I'm just going to let you listen to the clip. I'm going to let you listen to this clip, and then we'll discuss briefly, but there's really not much there other than, holy crap, did she actually just say that? Watch this.
Not only a place on our calendars, but a place in our collective memory. December 7th, 1941. September 11th, 2001. And January 6th, 2021.
All right. So when going through U.S. tragedies that shocked the country and will have a burning image in our minds, it was Pearl Harbor, right? That was the first one you said? Pearl Harbor, 9/11, and then January 6th. Whoa. And look, I'm not the type of person, and I think a lot of people aren't the type of person that's going to just immediately hit the administration that we don't agree with for doing, I don't know, kind of your standard executive branch tasks, like going to memorials and on any of the various kind of ceremonies. I don't hit them for that. Like, I wouldn't have hit Kamala Harris at all if she just was talking about 9/11. Like, yeah, okay, she's a vice president. She's giving a speech about 9/11, talking about the heroism and the people that lost their lives and all that sort of stuff. But then she makes it political and throws in January 6th as if it's the same thing. Like, the cojones on that woman to think that that's like an okay thing to do. Nobody would, again, nobody, I don't think, nobody's being fair and honest, even on the more conservative side of the aisle, who, again, is being fair about it, would have hit this lady on her well wishes at the ceremony, not well wishes, her statements at the ceremonies. But then she throws in the riot at the Capitol, which, what do they call it? The violent, deadly insurrection, which we'll get to in just a second. There was another one yesterday. I don't know if you know about that. And turns the entire thing political. And then, in my opinion, diminishes the grave amount of loss that happened on September 11th and at Pearl Harbor. But such, I guess, is the world now. Yeah, everything is politics all the time. Holy cow. A lot of people in the comment section, this probably just sums it up. Khalid says, she's an ass! All caps. 5 exclamation points. I don't disagree. Let's see. Speaking of violent insurrections, we got to get to this. Did you guys know that a violent insurrection happened yesterday? Violent and deadly insurrection, in that somebody in the greater DC metro area probably died yesterday. Unrelated to the violent and deadly insurrection at the Capitol, but since that's the terminology that we all use nowadays, any sort of protest at the Capitol is a violent and deadly insurrection. But this one, hey, while it was not the numbers of people that stormed the Capitol on January 6th, they did do the things that those people did. They invaded Kevin McCarthy's office. They're talking about Kevin McCarthy past PEP4, and I had to look up what that is. I actually forgot. I still have to look up what that is. But I want you to watch this video clip. This is another violent and deadly insurrection at the U.S. Capitol. How long will we continue to stand for this sort of thing? Watch this clip. It's just a bunch of jabbering and noise, so if you're listening, sorry about the next 30 seconds. But check it out. Again, violent and deadly insurrection. Watch this. That's a violent insurrection if I've ever seen one. Bunch of people went into Kevin McCarthy's office. Capitol Police arrested 7 activists occupying Kevin McCarthy's office in the Rayburn as they protested. Aren't they insurrectioning? Isn't that what they were doing? This is an article from Politico. Occupied Kevin McCarthy's office to demand Congress reauthorize the global HIV/AIDS program PEPFAR, which is set to expire at the end of the month. I'll be honest with you, I do not know what that is. And maybe it is that they accomplished their goal. They're getting talked about on various programs around the country for their violent and deadly insurrection. One of the problems with this sort of stuff is the difference in outcomes. Does anybody think the 7 people that were arrested by Capitol Police are going to serve 22 years in prison? Anybody going to serve 15 years in prison? Anybody going to serve 10? What about 5? What about a year? Are any of those 7 people going to serve a year in prison? What about 6 months? What about 2 weeks? The answer is probably not. Remember, last week we played a clip from another violent insurrection during the Kavanaugh process, the confirmation of Justice Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court, in which there was a ton of people that stormed the Capitol and were all arrested. None of them got any sort of prison time, and the maximum fine, I think, doled out by the justice system there was $35. So will these violent insurrectionists who invaded the Speaker of the House's office be held to account? Will they serve hard time, just like the many that were walking around the Capitol aimlessly on January 6th? Will they serve hard time? Probably not. Will they serve any time? No, probably not. Will they get hit with a minimal fine of approximately, probably, maybe $35? That seems to be the most likely case in this particular situation. But such is American politics as of right now. And speaking of American politics, New Mexico. We've got to touch on that story again. We talked about it significantly yesterday. The New Mexico governor, one Michelle Lujan Grisham, who uses the middle Lujan name to appeal to Hispanic voters, clearly, doubled down yesterday on all the talk shows when she was hit with a lot of criticism, not only by Republicans, but by literally everyone. David Hogue, noted lefty and anti-gun enthusiast, Ted Lieu, with 100% liberal voting record, Democrat, House, California, all said you can't do that. So it wasn't short tangent, short diatribe. I talk a lot about how the media covers when Republicans do something, the media says Republicans are doing this terrible thing. And then when Democrats do a terrible thing, the media says Republicans angry about Democrats doing a thing. That was the coverage of it pretty much all weekend, if there were coverage. Republicans upset at the Democrat governor's abolition of the Constitution. But that wasn't even the case here, right? That wasn't the case. Democrats and Republicans and literally everybody said you can't do that. And yet, she doubled down. Now, before we play her on CNN doubling down, I wanted to play this clip of the sheriff of the county in which this unconstitutional ban of concealed and open carry overseas. Watch this. He's basically saying, yeah, we're not going to enforce any of this. Check it out.
In reference to concealed carry and open carry, the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office will not enforce this segment of the order. While I understand the urgency, the temporary ban challenges the foundations of our Constitution, but most importantly, it is unconstitutional. My oath was to protect the Constitution, and that is what I will do. The governor made it clear in her press conference. She knew we as law enforcement did not agree with the order, and as a result, this was solely her decision.
Wow, sorry about that. Muted. So yeah, how did I mute myself there? Did I cough or something? Anyways, the sheriff of the county in which this unconstitutional order is taking place said that, yeah, we're not going to go ahead and enforce that. This is entirely her on her own. The attorney general of the state, the police department of the city of Albuquerque, everybody, including a bunch of Democrats, 95% of Democrats have all said, yeah, you can't do this. And what does she do yesterday when she goes on CNN? Well, check this out.
We just heard from the sheriff. He joins the attorney general and others who say they won't enforce it. It's unconstitutional. Why do it if it can't be enforced?
Well, that's their opinion. They have no bold actions. They don't have any plans for reducing gun violence.
Okay. So that was it. We don't need to listen to any more of that. It's just her going on and saying, well, they don't have any bold opinions. All right. So what happens then if the governor of a state says, you know what, to help stop the election emergency, we are going to abolish the 19th Amendment and disallow women voting? What happens there? Well, you can't do that, says Governor so-and-so or so-and-so. Now, by the way, that's a bad idea. I'm not suggesting that anybody does it. It's just an example. Get with the program. But a bunch of people would say that you can't do that. That's completely unconstitutional. And then imagine the governor said, well, that's your opinion. It's your opinion that it's unconstitutional. No, it just flat out is unconstitutional. This is one of the problems here with this weird, evolving truth nonsense world, right? If you're going to exist in a world where you can't observe objective reality without getting in trouble for it, you're going to end up getting stuff like this. It's not an opinion, by the way. Like, this lady, the governor of New Mexico, does not have an opinion on this issue. It's just wrong. Like, an opinion is, hey, I like yellow cars. And somebody says, well, yellow cars are stupid. I tend to be on the yellow cars are stupid train. That's an opinion. What is not an opinion is this is a car. If you're looking at a Ford F-150, bad example, that's a truck, but in the same, it's an automobile. Say you're looking at a Ford Fiesta. I don't know why that's the first car to pop in my mind. The opinion is the color of the car. The objective truth is this is a car. But if you live in a world where you can't define men or women or anything really, if you're on that side of the aisle, then you're going to come out with stuff like this. Well, no, that's my opinion is that I can do it. But you can't. And that really isn't unsettled legal theory. It's not like people haven't tried to do stuff like this in the past and have been shot down by the courts. Anytime somebody does something remotely unconstitutional, it gets tried in the courts and usually gets shot down. Something of this gravity. But in this particular case, she's going around trying to say, well, this is an opinion. This is a bold move that I've made, and it is my opinion. I feel like I've said the word opinion a lot. But at the end of the day, it's not an opinion. It's just objectively wrong. And then the question becomes, how will she be held accountable for it? In my view of it, and I come from a particular slant on this particular issue, it is an impeachable and removable offense. And, at what point is objectively and blatantly disregarding the Constitution some form of treason? Just my thoughts. I don't know what's going to happen. New Mexico is an incredibly blue state. I was there, February of last year? I was in New Mexico, in Albuquerque specifically, doing an event with Charlie Kirk and the people over at TPUSA. Great folks, by the way, but holy cow, that area was not welcoming to us in any way, shape, or form. Matter of fact, I won't get into that. But super blue state, so I don't think anything's going to happen. That's the whole reason why I got into that. But super blue state, not friendly to conservative ideas, but also still having to abide by the Constitution. Who knows? Will Michelle Lujan Grisham end up going to prison? Probably not. Will she be removed? Probably not. But I think the opinion of a lot of people is she probably should be. There's a difference between unsettled legal theory and just flat out unconstitutional nonsense. A lot of people in the comment section saying, vote her out already. FJB, right? We're not really talking about Joe Biden, but sure, you're welcome. You're welcome to your opinion there, even though I would say that's objective truth. Moving on to another governor of another blue state who's also running for president. Yesterday made the claim that Michelle Lujan Grisham is trying to make some waves to throw her hat in the ring to be the DNC nominee for president of the United States when Joe Biden does not run. But anyways, to another blue state Democrat who is also running for president, despite, even in this particular interview, saying that he wouldn't run for president. That is just a flat-out lie. He is running for president. Also made some racist comments. And I would say, not even in my opinion are these racist comments. It's just flat-out racism. I want you to watch this. It's kind of subtle, and it kind of piggybacks on stuff that he's already said, so we'll fill in the gaps afterward. But this is Gavin Newsom on Chuck Todd. They're talking about whether or not Dianne Feinstein should retire, and if she does retire, the governor gets to appoint a senator, which is crazy that the governor would be able to appoint 2 senators. The 2 senators the state has, he would appoint 2 of them. 100% of the senators appointed by gruesome Newsom. Check this out, and we'll fill in the gaps on the other side. Watch this.
That said, it's my job, it's my responsibility. If we have to do it, we'll do it.
You're going to abide by your pledge?
Yeah, interim appointment. I don't want to get involved in the
So
primary.
no, you would not appoint anybody on that is filed for this
race. It would
race?
be completely unfair to the Democrats that have worked their tail off. That primary is just a matter of months away. I don't want to tip the balance of that.
But you're going to abide by, it would be essentially a caretaker, an African-American woman.
We hope we never have to make this decision, but I abide by what I've said very publicly on a consistent basis, yes.
Yeah, so what he said on a consistent basis is that he will appoint a black woman. Representative Barbara Lee called him out on that, says that Gavin Newsom's vow to appoint a black woman took a turn towards tokenism. Also says is insulting to black women. And the reason that people are coming out and saying that is insulting and racist is because, in fact, it is insulting and racist. I've made this case so many times, I feel like I am a broken record at this point. But when you specifically point out a particular group and elevate that group to a stature or office, specifically because they're in the group, that's just as racist as eliminating them because they're in the group. I would say even more racist. What is it? The soft bigotry of low expectations? That's a prime example of that. If Gavin Newsom were to say, well, because black women are disenfranchised, or whatever the reasoning he's using, I'm going to appoint a black woman to the Senate of the United States from California. If that is the entirety of the reasoning behind that, what he's effectively saying, this is Gavin Newsom, is effectively saying black women are just too dang stupid and dumb to get this office on their own. I have to help them out as a cisgendered white male, Gavin, and appoint them to this office, and thus eliminating the rest of the population in contention. You know what California has also never had? A Pacific Islander senator. You know what the Supreme Court also hasn't had? I'm thinking about Ketanji Brown Jackson and Joe Biden saying pretty much the same thing. I'm going to appoint a black woman. Supreme Court also hasn't had a Pacific Islander on the bench. Now, I don't care, by the way. I'm not saying I care at all about what the race and gender and ethnicity of a particular individual is. I care if they have good ideas. Unlike Gavin, I'm not a racist person. And Joe Biden. But at the end of the day, if you continue to go down the path of, I'm going to appoint this particular gender and this particular race, one, it effectively is legitimately racist to all of the people outside of that circle. Okay, well, I'm not a black woman, so I'm not eligible for that. And two, you're effectively saying this particular group, in this case, black women, can't do it on their own. I need to help them. That's what he's saying. MSNBC even took a shot at him for doing that. But Gavin Newsom is running for president. If you don't think so, you're a crazy person. He's 100% running. And I wonder if he's going to face any political backlash for saying, as recently as this weekend, that I'm not running. I don't know. That'll be interesting and curious. But that's going to do it for us today. Appreciate you sticking around, tuning in. If you haven't already, give me a follow on any of your social media platforms. Just type in JOBOB pretty much anywhere. The Chiron on the Facebook is wrong. Just JOBOB. You'll be able to find me anywhere. Also, if you live in the greater San Diego area, Fort Smith / Van Buren, Arkansas, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Twin Falls, Idaho, Nashville, Tennessee, we will be making stops on the Freedom Comedy Events Tour, the Star Spangled Banter Tour, this fall. Actually, geez, in a couple weeks, it is this fall. So for tickets, go to freedomcomedyevents.com, or you can find it on my Instagram page or Facebook page. But we will be, in Fallbrook, California, San Diego area in 2 weeks' time, and then the rest of the dates are all up there. And that is not including the Turning Point Tour, which will coincide. We're going, all over the place. San Jose, Orlando, Atlanta, Buffalo, Utica? I don't know where that other university is that we're going to. San Antonio. We're going to a lot of places. So if you want to see, I hope you want to meet me, which, you know, I don't know why any of you would, but if you feel so inclined and want to go to one of these freedom-oriented events, would love to see you and would love to have you there. We will see you tomorrow, same time, same place, probably wherever it is that you're watching this. Appreciate you sticking around, tuning in. See you then. God bless America.